Amma Kusi sat in her small apartment in Accra, staring at the glittering golden envelope in her hands. It was heavy, embossed with her sister's name in silver letters. Selina Kusi weds Kwame Mensah. Her heart sank as she traced the fancy calligraphy. 5 years. 5 long years since Selina had spoken to her. No calls, no visits, nothing but silence. And now, this invitation, shining like an insult wrapped in gold. Selina had always been the family's golden child, beautiful, charming, and adored. Amma was the quiet one, the one who stayed behind to care for their sick father while Selina chased luxury and fame. When Selina married Kwame, one of Ghana's richest real estate moguls, it became the talk of the city. Everyone said it would be the wedding of the decade. $13 million for one weekend. Private chefs, imported flowers, celebrity guests. All for the sister who once called Amma the family embarrassment. Amma's fingers trembled as she read the words. We would be honored to have you join our celebration of love. Honored. She laughed bitterly. What honor was there in being invited to watch the world celebrate the sister who had erased her? Her mother called just then, voice soft but firm. Amma, please go. Just show support. Don't cause drama. It's still family. Amma took a deep breath. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to just attend quietly, sit in the back and leave early. She had no idea that saying yes to that golden invitation would turn her entire life upside down. Amma still remembered how it all began, the invisible line that had always existed between her and Selina. Growing up in their small family home in Kumasi, everyone used to call Selina the jewel of the Kusi family. She was beautiful, confident, and loved attention. Their parents spoiled her with everything she wanted: new clothes, pageant entries, fancy outings. Amma, on the other hand, was the quiet one, always hiding behind a book or her sketchpad. She didn't shine in the way Selina did, but she had dreams. Big, creative ones that no one seemed to notice. When their father fell ill, everything changed. While Selina was busy traveling and attending social events, Amma stayed home to take care of him. Day and night, she cooked, cleaned, managed his medicine, and watched the man who once carried her on his shoulders slowly fade away. Sometimes she'd sit beside him and he would whisper, Amma, you have a good heart. Never let this world harden it. Those words stayed with her long after he was gone. When their father passed, Selina came home in designer heels and dark sunglasses. The funeral was full of tears and whispers, but all Amma could see was how fast her sister took charge, selling the car, managing the papers, and dividing the inheritance. Selina told her, Don't worry, Amma. I'll handle everything and help you later. Amma believed her. She trusted her sister. But later never came. Selina disappeared again. New boyfriend, new city, new life. Amma was left with nothing but memories and unpaid bills. Their mother quietly moved in with relatives for a while, but Amma stayed behind, trying to rebuild from scratch. She took whatever job she could find, designing flyers for local shops, editing photos for social media influencers, and eventually, creating wedding slideshows for rich couples who wanted to see their love stories come to life on big screens. She'd sit at her small desk, staring at pictures of smiling brides and glittering halls, wondering what it must feel like to be celebrated like that. Sometimes she'd pause mid-edit, tears blurring her vision, as she realized how she was helping others live the dreams she never got to touch. Ironically, Selina's name started popping up again, in magazines, on billboards and social media. She was dating Kwame Mensah, one of Ghana's most powerful real estate tycoons. Amma would scroll through her phone, staring at pictures of her sister draped in diamonds, smiling for cameras, pretending they didn't share the same blood. And yet, despite the pain, Amma couldn't hate her. Deep down, a part of her still loved Selina, still remembered the little girl who once held her hand on the walk to school. But that girl was gone now, replaced by someone who only cared about fame and wealth. Amma just kept working, believing that one day her kindness and hard work would mean something. She didn't know that the very skill she built from struggle would soon expose the truth and bring her sister's glittering world crashing down. The wedding day shimmered like a movie scene. The sun was setting over the Atlantic Ocean, casting golden light on the luxurious private resort outside Accra. White roses lined the pathway, crystal chandeliers hung from palm trees, and classical music floated through the air. Alma stepped out of the shuttle, clutching her small purse, her heart thumping. Everywhere she looked, there were guests dressed in glittering designer outfits, stepping out of black SUVs and Rolls-Royces. Drones buzzed above like mechanical birds, capturing every smile, every diamond, every moment that screamed perfection. Alma felt completely out of place. Her dress was simple, one she had sewn herself months ago. As she walked toward the main hall, she could feel eyes turning, whispers slicing through the air. That's Selena's sister, right? The poor one. What's she even doing here? Alma smiled politely, pretending not to hear. She had promised her mother she wouldn't cause drama, so she kept her head high and walked slowly through the crowd. Inside the ballroom, it was even more breathtaking. Glass walls overlooking the sea, candles floating in tall vases, and a grand screen showing the couple's pre-wedding video. She found a quiet corner and took a seat. Then something caught her attention, the video playing on the massive LED screen. Her heart skipped. The transitions, the fonts, the music, it all looked too familiar. Then she saw it. In the corner of the video, for a split second, flashed her watermark, AK Designs. Her logo. Her work. Alma leaned forward, her stomach twisting. She knew this video. It was the demo she had made months ago for a potential wedding client, one who never paid her. She had poured her heart into that presentation, hoping to get hired. But when the client ghosted her, she thought it was gone forever. Now here it was, playing in front of hundreds of guests, presented as Selena's custom video. Her eyes darted to the front, where Selena stood radiant in her shimmering gown, waving at cameras, soaking in the attention. She had no idea her little sister was sitting in the shadows, watching her own stolen work light up the screen. Alma's chest tightened. Every clip, the couple's photos, the animations, even the romantic slow-motion effects, had been taken from her demo folder. She sat frozen, anger and disbelief mixing inside her like fire and ice. How could Selena do this? After taking the inheritance, the attention, and even their father's memory, now she had stolen her work too. Alma swallowed hard, her hands trembling as she whispered to herself. She didn't even bother to change the watermark. For a moment she thought about standing up and walking out. But something deep inside her said no. Not yet. She would stay. She needed to understand how far Selena had gone, and why fate had brought her here to this glittering hall on this very night. Alma's heart wouldn't stop racing. She sat through the rest of the video, barely blinking. Every frame on that giant screen screamed one truth: her sister had stolen from her again. But something still didn't make sense. How did Selena's team even get that file? Alma never uploaded it anywhere. It was saved on an old flash drive she hadn't seen in months, the same one she used for client demos and personal projects. Her stomach twisted with unease. As the guests clapped and the music swelled, Alma quietly stood up and slipped out of the hall. She followed the sound of equipment humming until she reached the back of the stage, where a group of technicians were managing the lights, sound, and video screens. Her voice trembled as she spoke to one of them, a young man wearing a headset. "Excuse me, where did you get that wedding video? The one that just played?" He looked at her, confused. "From the bride's team. They gave us a flash drive with all the media files." Alma frowned. "Can I see it, please?" The man hesitated but finally handed it to her. The moment she saw the small silver drive, her breath caught. It had a tiny scratch on the side, the same one she'd dropped months ago. It was hers. Her hands shook as she opened the folder on the technician's laptop. Inside were several video files, the pre-wedding film, Selena's name folder, and beneath them, something that made Alma's knees nearly give out, a file labeled, "The Forgotten Daughter M4." Her heart sank. That was the private documentary she had made years ago, a deeply personal video about her father, filled with old family footage, her childhood voiceovers, and moments she never meant anyone to see. She had made it after his death, pouring out her grief and love into something that helped her heal. No one, not even her mother, had seen it. "Please," Alma said quickly, her voice almost breaking. "Don't touch that file. It's not meant for public viewing. It's private." The technician nodded, looking uneasy. "We won't, ma'am. But we already loaded everything into the main system earlier. It's all queued up. Amma's eyes widened. What do you mean, queued up? Before he could answer, the music from the hall stopped abruptly. The lights flickered. Gasps echoed from the crowd. What's happening? The technician muttered, rushing to the monitor. Amma stepped closer, panic rising in her chest. On one of the screens, the main projector feed went black. The logo of the resort flickered, then disappeared completely. Stop it! Pull it out! Amma shouted, her voice shaking. The technician yanked at the cables, but it was too late. The system automatically switched to the next file in the folder, The Forgotten Daughter. Amma froze, staring at the preview window as her own voice, younger, softer, full of emotion, began to play across the hall speakers. The secret she had guarded for years was about to be shown to everyone, and there was no stopping it now. The ballroom went silent. The music that had been playing moments ago suddenly cut off, replaced by the low buzz of confused whispers. The chandeliers flickered once, twice, then dimmed. People looked around nervously as the massive projector screen at the front of the hall went black. Even the ocean breeze outside seemed to pause. Amma stood frozen near the back door, her breath stuck in her throat. She already knew what was coming, but she prayed, desperately, that she was wrong. The guests began murmuring, phones lighting up the dark room like tiny fireflies. Then, with a loud click, the projector restarted. The screen lit up again. But this time, it wasn't the glamorous pre-wedding montage everyone expected. Instead, an old home video appeared. The image was slightly grainy, the colors warm and faded, the unmistakable look of memories too personal for the public eye. On the screen, a younger Amma appeared, sitting beside her sick father on a worn couch. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her hand gently holding his. The crowd went silent again, watching closely. Then her father's voice filled the hall, deep and tender. Amma is my pride. She takes care of us when no one else will. A heavy stillness spread through the room. Guests turned their heads toward Selina, whose smile had completely vanished. Her perfectly made-up face went pale under the soft glow of the lights. She stood frozen at the altar, bouquet trembling in her hands. The video continued, flashes of Amma cooking for her father, washing his clothes, laughing weakly through tears. Then came a clip of Selina walking out the door with suitcases, their father calling her name faintly in the background. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone whispered, "Is that Selina leaving him?" Selina's mother-in-law covered her mouth in shock. Even the event hosts didn't dare move. The camera zoomed back to Amma, her voice breaking as she said to the camera, "He deserves better than to be forgotten. I just want him to know he's loved, even if the world forgets us both." Tears welled in Amma's eyes as she stood in the shadows of the hall, watching her most private moment unfold in front of hundreds of strangers. Every painful memory she had buried was now projected on the same screen meant to glorify her sister. Selina suddenly shouted, "Turn it off! Turn it off right now!" Her voice cracked, but no one moved. The technicians scrambled helplessly as guests whispered louder, phones coming up to record the unfolding chaos. Amma's father's voice played one last time, steady and full of love. "Amma, you are my blessing. You are my light." The screen froze on his smiling face before fading to black again. The only sound left was the soft hum of the projector, and Selina's shaky breathing echoing through a hall that had just witnessed the truth she'd spent years hiding. The hall was dead silent, but the video didn't stop. The screen flickered for a moment and then continued to play, this time showing scenes Amma didn't even remember saving. Her heart pounded as she realized that her old flash drive had held more than just her documentary. It had captured things she never meant to show anyone. Voice notes, video clips, and half-finished edits that told the whole painful story. On the screen, Selina appeared, laughing with her friends at a restaurant, dressed in luxury. Her voice came through the speakers loud and clear. "Please, I don't deal with broke people. Not even family. Let them struggle." A collective gasp swept through the guests. People exchanged uneasy looks, whispering to each other in disbelief. Amma's mother, seated near the front, covered her face in shame. Selina stood frozen by the stage, her mouth opening and closing like she couldn't breathe. The next clip showed Amma sitting alone at her desk, working late at night, talking softly to her camera. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. Sometimes, I wonder if she'll ever remember who she was before all the money. I don't hate her. I just miss my sister. The crowd's murmurs grew louder. Guests were filming with their phones, capturing every second. Selena's perfect image, the glamorous bride with everything, was crumbling right in front of them. Then came the most painful part. The video switched again, showing Amma's father lying in bed, his voice weak but loving. "Promise me you'll take care of Amma," he said to Selena, who only smiled faintly and replied, "Of course, Daddy." The next frame cut to Amma's voiceover. "After he died, she took everything. The house, the money, even his watch. She said she'd help me later, but later never came." Gasps and whispers filled the room again. Some guests looked away in discomfort, others kept watching in stunned silence. Then one final scene appeared, a message Amma had recorded years ago, a raw moment she never thought anyone would see. She looked straight into the camera and whispered through tears, "One day I'll make you proud, Papa. Even if no one claps for me." The hall went utterly still. Not a sound. Even the waves outside seemed to hush. Amma could see people wiping their eyes, her mother silently sobbing, and Selena trembling where she stood, her bouquet now on the floor. Selena suddenly screamed, her voice cracking, "Turn it off! Turn it off right now!" But the damage was done. The technicians were trying to stop the playback, but phones were already up everywhere, screens glowing as guests recorded the chaos. Then, with a loud pop, the entire room went dark. The power cut completely. Few people screamed. The only sounds were the ocean wind outside and Selena's shaky breathing in the dark. But even with the lights out, everyone already knew. The truth had finally escaped. And this time, no amount of money could hide it again. When the lights finally came back on, the ballroom looked completely different. Moments ago, it had been a scene of celebration. Now it felt like a battlefield. Half the guests were already gone, chairs pushed back, glasses knocked over, whispers filling the air like buzzing bees. The air smelled faintly of melted candle wax and panic. Selena stood frozen at the front, her makeup streaked with tears, her perfect wedding dress slightly wrinkled. The spotlight that once made her glow now made her look exposed, small and frightened. Kwame stood beside her, face hard as stone. He didn't look at the guests or the cameras, or even the minister waiting awkwardly with the vows. His eyes were locked on Selena. The silence stretched painfully until he finally spoke, his voice low but cutting through the room like a blade. "Is that true, Selena? You used your sister's work. You lied about everything." Selena blinked fast, trying to collect herself. "No, Kwame, listen, it's not what it looked like. It was a mistake. Someone sent the wrong file." But her words trembled, weak and unconvincing. Everyone in the room knew the truth. Amma stood near the back, quiet and composed, though her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her ears. For years she had been invisible, the forgotten sister, the background shadow in Selena's picture-perfect life. Now all eyes were finally on her. She took a step forward, her voice soft but steady. "You built your fairy tale on my pain." The words hit like thunder. The room went still. Even the staff at the back stopped moving. Selena turned toward Amma, her lips trembling. "Amma, please. I didn't mean to." But Amma didn't flinch. Her eyes glistened not with revenge but with truth, the kind that burns but also heals. "You took everything that wasn't yours, Selena. Our father's money, my work, my peace. But today you can keep it all. I'm done being your shadow." Kwame's jaw tightened. He looked at Selena as if seeing her for the first time. "You lied to me, to everyone," he said quietly. He reached for his hand, slowly twisting off his wedding ring. The sound of metal hitting the floor echoed louder than any applause ever could. "I can't marry someone who builds her life on lies," he said, voice cold. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out of the hall. Gasps filled the air. Cameras flashed. Selena stood there, shaking, clutching her gown as if it could hold her together. But nothing could. Her world, the mansion, the fame, the fantasy, was falling apart in front of everyone. Amma turned away and quietly walked toward the exit, her head held high. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She just breathed for the first time in years, feeling free. The night that was meant to crown her sister's success had instead revealed her own strength. And though the crowd whispered behind her, Alma didn't look back. Her story was just beginning. By morning, the story had taken over the entire country. What had started as a glamorous $13 million wedding had turned into Ghana's biggest scandal overnight. Every major blog, radio show, and news outlet was talking about it. The headline screamed, "The Forgotten Daughter, Kusi Sisters' Secret Exposed." Hashtags like #The Forgotten Daughter, #Kusi Sister Scandal, and #Justice for Alma flooded social media. Clips from the leaked wedding video were everywhere. Alma's voice, soft, trembling yet full of truth, played on millions of phones. "One day I'll make you proud, even if no one claps for me." People replayed that moment again and again. Some said it was the most powerful line they'd ever heard. Others called Alma a symbol of quiet strength, the woman who spoke without shouting and still shook the entire country. While Alma's name spread like wildfire, Selena's world completely collapsed. Reporters camped outside her mansion, flashing cameras whenever her car tried to leave the gate. Her social media pages were flooded with angry comments calling her a liar, a thief, and a fake. The luxury brand she used to promote quickly cut ties. Even her fiancé's family, the prestigious Mensahs, released a statement saying they were deeply disappointed and were suspending all joint ventures. Selena, once the face of elegance, was now hiding indoors, terrified to step outside. Meanwhile, Alma's life was changing in the most unexpected way. She woke up to hundreds of messages, journalists requesting interviews, designers offering collaborations, and clients begging her to work with them. Her tiny design studio, Alma Vision, which had barely survived before, suddenly became the most sought-after creative brand in Accra. When Alma stepped out to buy breakfast that morning, people recognized her immediately. A woman selling bread smiled and said, "God bless you, my daughter. You spoke for all of us who've been overlooked." A taxi driver refused to take her fare, saying proudly, "You're the brave one from the video. Respect." Alma couldn't believe it. She had spent years being invisible, the sister no one invited, the girl no one celebrated. But now, strangers were cheering for her, not out of pity but admiration. The world finally saw her not as Selena's poor sister, but as a woman who stood with grace when life tried to humiliate her. That night, as Alma sat in her small apartment, the glow of her laptop reflected in her eyes. New emails kept arriving, from companies in Nigeria, Kenya, even London. She scrolled through the endless requests, overwhelmed but grateful. Then she saw one message that made her pause. It was from a woman who wrote, "Thank you for reminding us that kindness isn't weakness. You helped me forgive myself." Alma smiled softly, tears filling her eyes. She didn't plan any of this. She had just told her truth. But somehow, that truth had set her free, and inspired millions of others to find their own voices too. Months later, Alma stood backstage at a grand auditorium in Lagos, dressed in a simple cream suit she designed herself. The room was packed. Over 1,000 women from across Africa had come to attend the Women in Tech and Innovation conference. Cameras flashed, lights glowed, and yet, despite the fame that had found her, Alma still felt the same quiet heartbeat she used to feel when she worked alone in her tiny studio. When her name was announced, "Please welcome Alma Kusi, founder of Alma Vision Studios." The crowd erupted in applause. Alma took a slow breath and stepped onto the stage. The moment her feet touched the floor, the room went still. Everyone knew her story. They had watched her fall and rise again. But now, seeing her in person, glowing with peace instead of pain, was something else entirely. She smiled gently before speaking. "I used to think success meant being seen," she began, her voice steady. "But sometimes the world doesn't clap for you until you clap for yourself." The audience leaned in closer. "Don't envy glitter," she said softly. "Some diamonds are just broken glass." Those words hit deep. You could hear the murmurs, the sniffles, even a few quiet sobs. Women in the crowd nodded, wiping tears, because they understood what she meant. They too had been overlooked, underestimated, or made to feel small. Alma didn't speak about Selena's betrayal in anger. She spoke with forgiveness. My sister's actions hurt me, she admitted. But that pain pushed me to build something I could truly call mine. Sometimes the storm doesn't destroy you. It clears your path. By the end of her speech, the entire hall was on its feet, clapping and cheering. Alma smiled, her heart swelling. She wasn't just telling her story anymore. She was reminding thousands of women that they could rise too, no matter who tried to bury their light. After the conference, journalists surrounded her. Global companies reached out to partner with Amavision Studios. Her once small business had now grown into one of West Africa's top creative agencies, designing campaigns for international brands and training young designers from underprivileged backgrounds. But Alma stayed true to who she was. She still walked to her office every morning with a cup of tea in hand, still listened to old recordings of her late father's advice. Be kind even when they're cruel, he used to say. Your light will speak for itself. And now it truly did. The forgotten daughter had become the voice of a generation, not because she shouted the loudest, but because she never stopped believing that even broken things can shine. A few months later, on a quiet afternoon, Alma was in her new office. A bright glass space filled with laughter, creativity, and the sound of computers humming. Her company, Amavision Studios, was thriving. Her team worked passionately around her, creating ads and visuals that would soon light up billboards across the country. Then the door opened. Everyone turned to look. Standing there was Selena. No makeup, no diamonds, no cameras. Just tired eyes and trembling hands. For a moment no one moved. The once famous bride who had everything now looked small and lost. Selena walked slowly toward Alma's desk, her voice soft and shaking. I lost everything, she whispered. My husband left. The sponsors pulled out. My friends stopped answering my calls. But I came here to say, she swallowed hard, tears rolling down her cheeks. I'm sorry, Alma. Truly. Alma looked at her sister for a long, silent moment. Memories flashed. The pain, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, and the years she spent in the shadows. But instead of anger, her heart felt calm. She finally smiled, gently and firmly. It's okay, Alma said quietly. You taught me what not to become. Selena's shoulders dropped. She nodded slowly, understanding that forgiveness didn't mean returning to the past. It meant moving on. She turned and walked out, disappearing down the hallway as Alma watched her go, not with hate but peace. Alma turned back to her team, her voice steady again. All right, everyone, she said, clapping her hands lightly. Let's get back to work. We've got bigger screens to fill. That night, across the city, billboards lit up with Alma's new campaign, her face glowing above the skyline. The forgotten daughter was now everywhere her sister never imagined she'd shine.
Thanks for watching.